Wootton and I are talking about tons of different stories around property that has been donated to benefit nonprofits. Jim, this is a fascinating story we're just chatting about. Tell us about it.
Okay, so I was contacted by a charity that needed to put this deal together. They had a country club that had been built at a original cost of $25 million. And over the years, the country club fell on hard times and went through a sheriff's sale. It sold to an entrepreneur for $3.5 million at the sheriff's sale. And after operating it for a few years, maybe 5 years, a charity proposed that they donated for their school. It was a school. And so it was a 501c3 school. And so they said, well, how do we do this? And what would be the ramifications? What would be the benefits? So I got an MAI appraiser to look at it. And he said, well, look, it cost $25 million to build this thing. And over the years, it's depreciated some, of course. But rather than use the income approach or whether to use the market approach, which how many country clubs are sold per year, right? Very few. So using the cost approach and using all the metrics, it was $9.5 million. And so they did it. I put together the paperwork for them and we got it all done. He got a $9.5 million write-off. And with the tax savings alone, he had more tax savings than his original cost in the property. So plus he was able to make a tremendous difference. That's the thing. If you don't have donative intent, I think IRS, by the way, they don't honor this unless there's donative intent. And you have to say so. And you have to say so in writing before the closing. Now it can be a letter. It can say, the seller intends to make a charitable donation of the property at 123 Main Street to the buyer, a 501c3. You can just do that in one sentence. But it's really probably better to put it right in the purchase contract. Put it right in the purchase contract. You don't want this thing to foul up just because you didn't declare donative intent. And so, of course, that was done here. So, yeah, I mean, there are more than one ways to do this. I also want to say, I think I want to touch on the fact that the tax savings, every time you make a donation, that's one asset that's not going to go to your heirs, right? The kids are thinking about this. And you don't want them telling mom and dad, don't do this. That's something I'm supposed to get, right? So here's the thing. With the tax savings, oftentimes they can pay for a life insurance policy. They'll give the kids even more than the value of that asset. It's just something, a tool to have in the back of your head, they get some life insurance. Go ahead.
Amen. I love that you bring that up a lot because it's one of the things that we even say for financial advisors. Hey, listen, if your client wants to get a couple $100,000 out of that property to buy life insurance policies for the kids, well, that's even better for you, financial advisor. I'd like for you, Jim, also to speak on that. Property donor had paid $3.5 million, and now that it's being donated at an appraised value of $9.5 million, what are the key points? Like there's capital gains tax that they're avoiding. What are some of those tax benefits for a donor like that?
Yeah, well, that's a big one right there. Capital gains tax is avoided. And so that's fabulous. But also the tax savings from the charitable gift. They can write off, 30% if it's an individual, or if it's an LLC. If it's an LLC, it's just fine. All the members can take their pro rata share up to 30% of their own adjusted gross income, line 22 on their 1040. They can write off 30% per year for up to 5 more years, total of 6 years. So that's real money. If they, otherwise have a tax to pay, that means they're going to have the tax savings. So for some people, I mean, I've even had people, I give you a ridiculous example, is it's paying it. If you say the charity could pay $200,000 so they could buy a life insurance policy, even if they paid 80%, and the seller would be saying, well, look, 20% gift. If I get the deduction, and my taxes are 30. You got the capital gains tax at a high bracket. You got the state income tax. We do in Ohio. I don't know. I think some states are even more. And you have the 3.5% Medicare tax. So you have to add all these up. It's a bunch of money. It could be around 40%. So he's looking at that and he says, look, if this thing, I've been trying to sell it, if I was going to reduce the price 10% next month anyway, they might say, wow, what are we waiting for? Let's do this. There's no reason not to do it, but they do have to have donative intent. I would like to go to the donor with some literature about this, if it's the pet people or if it's veterans, if it's a church. I'll say, look, these are good people doing good work. They don't have horns. And I do say that, by the way. So, we want to make sure they do have donative intent. Wouldn't you like to make the world a better place? Wouldn't you like to make a difference in the lives of people? And say yes.
There you have it. Another story about how and why donors are donating real estate to nonprofits, or in our case, through a third-party intermediary that removes any risk, no money out of pocket for the nonprofit. Any and all of the 1.5 million nonprofits in this country qualify for our program so that it is risk-free and no money out of pocket. Any last words on that, Jim?
No, I would just say I'm highly motivated to continue this, do as much as possible. And, it's very satisfying at the end of the day. There's, I'm way past retirement age, but I'm going to keep doing this until they haul me out on a gurney. It is so rewarding. As long as I have my health. If I have my health, I will do this. Yeah.
Thank God. Thank God you are not retiring, because we need people like you to help us spread the word. I kind of think of myself as the Johnny Appleseed of charitable real estate as I travel the country in my RV with my fiance and my dog. And now we've got hundreds of people around the country who are learning about this and wanting to bring it to their communities. If you are a real estate agent or a property owner or a nonprofit or a financial advisor, or even someone who sells life insurance, as you can see, there's lots of ways to benefit from charitable gifting of real estate done the win-win way of the Real Agents of Change. See you guys on the next case study. Bye-bye.